if we have a look at the reports when they get printed, they all get printed with a number in the front of them. This number in the front of the reports, although I've got nothing here printed, I'm going to have to pre-print something. Give me a second. When we print a report in Easy As, no matter what it is, it could be an invoice, it could be any type of report, and if the report's getting saved to your hard drive, that is. Okay, in this case, if I print a PDF, it's getting saved to my hard drive. When the report gets printed, it will print the report and put a number at the front of it. So in this case, I printed the expense report and it put a number at the front. If I was to print a quote, or an invoice in this case, I'm going to print invoice number 2, it also places a number at the front. Now, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that number if you choose. But why it prints that number is because of this. If you've got 5 businesses, for example, say you've got 5 businesses that you've currently got running. It might be you might have one main business and a couple of subsidiary businesses that are making X amount of money that you're wanting to keep separate from your main business. Each business, when it prints a report, it puts a number in the front according to the line it's on. So in this here, if I select this business here, it happens to be on line number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I select that business and I go to print that report, it will print it and it will place a number 5 in front of it. I'm going to prove that to you. I just have to change one setting because I need to change where these reports are getting printed to. Because you can select a different, with Easy As you can have each business profile print the reports to a different business, to a different directory. I want everything in this case to print into the same directory so I can show you. Okay, so I'm going to print this report now. It's going to print an expense report. It has nothing in there, but I'm just going to print it anyway. If you have a look, you'll see here, number 5, expenses. We've got number 1 expenses, number 5 expenses. What you don't want is if you've got all your reports from 5 different businesses going to the same folder, you don't want the different reports, if they're called the same name, of writing a different business's report. That's why those numbers go in front, guys, is to save in case you accidentally overwrite a report. Let's say, for example, you don't want the number. If you have set Easy As up to save all the reports from each business in a completely different folder, then you shouldn't need this number, should you? It's irrelevant. Or you might only have one business. Over 80% of users with Easy As only has one business anyway. So you don't need the number in front of it. If you don't want Easy As to print with that number, you can now get rid of it. It's as simple as going into Setup, click Change Printing Directory, and have a look down the bottom here. Remove the number from the front of reports. It tells you about that. And if I just click here, see it says numbers will appear. Now numbers will not appear. So now if I print that report, that same report, I've done nothing but just click this. It's now printed the report without the number. So now if I wanted to print this invoice, I can also print the invoice without the number in front of it. However, what you've got to remember is these invoice numbering, anything you select from this particular section page here is only going to reflect whatever business profile you have selected. It's only going to affect this one in this case. If I change to Mr. Handyman, if I go back to the setup, you'll see that now says numbers will appear. It's because it's profile specific. It means that if you want all business profiles to have no number in front of them, you have to click them all off. It's been designed that way because you have to tell Easy As to turn it off. By default, we do it as a failsafe. So if you're putting 5 businesses or more than one business into the same directory, you want the number in front of them so you don't mix up your reports. If you don't want that, then you're going to physically instruct Easy As not to do it. And if you haven't set your computer up correctly and you're overriding your own reports, then that's your fault. This means that when you click this, you're saying you know what you're doing. You're turning the numbers off. Numbers are now no longer going to appear. I know what I'm doing. I don't want the numbers to appear. So when I click print this report, we'll click this invoice. It's going to print this invoice without a number in front of it, and there we are, invoice number 2. The problem is that if I go and select another business that also has invoice number 2, that invoice number 2 is going to override this invoice number 2. And there's where the problem's going to happen. But again, that's not going to be a problem if you go back and make sure every business has its own printing directory. So that could be, you could call that business number 1, business number 2, whatever. But naturally, you'd probably want to call it the name of the business to make it easy for you to find. So if you set up your system, if you set Easy As up correctly and give every single business its own folder, turning this off is all ideal. It's exactly what I would be doing. And this is exactly what I've done. I've got numerous businesses, so I have each business saving to its own folder, and I've also turned this off because I don't want the numbers in front of it. I want the reports to appear exactly how I wanted them to appear, without numbers.